coming in, I mean, unfortunately, we knew it was going to be a little messy, but it's just something we felt important that had to be done, that should be done. So, but like I said,
The manpower was just very stressed and critical to the point of almost breaking.
People, please buckle up, because we are about to talk about one of the dirtiest stories going around in a small Illinois town. People are talking about the trouble in Dolton, where the so-called super mayor Tiffany Henyard is having to deal with a storm of scandals that could bring down her whole kingdom. Trust us, this story has it all: power plays in politics. Let's get right to it: money problems and even federal charges.
I think you should pay everybody. Is it a reason why you guys are not paying whatever that vendor is?
what was it for?
It was for shirts. That's what it's for. You just got it.
Imagine this as a heated meeting room. A lot of anger and frustration filled the air. The Board of Trustees is going up against Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who is known for her daring dress choices and even more daring claims that she is the most powerful woman on the south side of Chicago. She is once again in the firing line. "Stop making trouble. You don't stand for me. And I want you to step down," she yells. She's clearly very angry and won't give up without a fight. Is there a move to fire Keith Freeman? Nonetheless, precisely what is driving this: the board had recently moved to require the village to release its financial records, and Mayor Henyard was not too keen on granting this request. He quickly vetoed the choice, setting the stage for a confrontation. Let's start with the rage.
It's in deep debt, and that is the finding of an investigation of village finances and the spending habits of beleaguered Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
If you thought things couldn't get any more intense, guess again. Very next twist in this story involves L.S. Lacey, Dolton's head of police and one of Henry's closest allies. Hold on though, because this is going to get even more juicy. Lacey faces federal charges that could result in up to 45 years in jail. The charges include bankruptcy fraud, making false claims, and perjury. It's clear that Lacey is facing serious implications. The indictment explains the charges against him, including concealing assets and lying under oath to avoid paying a hefty $440,000 lawsuit settlement.
Well, Mr. Lacey is absolutely not guilty of all 9 counts. I believe he's cooperating. And if you cooperate, you have to admit your guilt first.
The big question on everyone's mind is, will Lacey flip and turn on Henyard to save his own skin? If he does, this could be the final nail in the coffin for the self-styled great mayor. Let's break down what this charge really means first of all. Lacey is not just a police chief, he's been one of Henyard's most loyal foot soldiers, reportedly doing her dirty work for years. So why is this such a big deal? Since Henyard is rumored to have built a corrupt system around herself, bankruptcy, fraud, and perjury are serious charges, but this is about more than just one man trying to avoid debt. If Lacey speaks up, he could spill the beans on Henyard's alleged misuse of power, which includes extorting local businesses and turning the Dolton Police Department into her personal security force.
An illegal appointment. That's what the trustees I talked to are calling this. They say the news took them by surprise, and now they're talking to legal counsel to figure out their next steps.
Speaking of abuse of authority, let's talk about Henrietta Lack's contentious use of the police force. Under her direction, the Dolton Police Department appears to have evolved into a kind of private army, allegedly carrying out anything from harassing political rivals to stomping out small companies.
Yes, Fox 32 has investigated Henyard's use of a police security detail, taking officers off the street and costing thousands of dollars in.
The situation got so severe, according to former Dolton Police Chief Robert Collins, that officers were being called away from their normal responsibilities, like actually fighting crime, to act as Heard's personal bodyguards.
Fired her chief of police late last year without any approval from the village board. So now Robert Collins has filed a lawsuit.
Collins did not hold back when he described how the mayor's requests for personal security had left his department stretched to the breaking point. He said, "We badly needed these officers on the streets fighting crime, but instead they were assigned to chauffeur the mayor around. It's wrong, and someone needs to be held responsible." Not to be forgotten, however, is the outrageous spending spree that has left Dolton teetering on the edge of financial ruin. Reports have surfaced showing that Henyard has been using taxpayer money like it is her own piggy bank. She has accrued hundreds of thousands of dollars in costs on things like a private ice skating rink and lavish trips paid for with village credit cards. And let's not even get started on the $33,000 she reportedly spent on Amazon in just one day.
One day purchase of over $40,000 to Amazon. And the main thing is,
these costs, in addition to claims of pay-to-play schemes whereby nearby companies were forced to contribute to her charity in order for it to remain open, paint a quite unflattering image of a leader who appears more concerned with living lavishly than with truly serving her community.
Sometimes we get invoices, but those invoices lead to more questions, and sometimes we don't get answers to those questions. And so it's not about clickbait, it's about just making sure the right thing is being done.
This is when the interesting stuff comes in. The FBI has been studying Henyard for some time, and Lacey's indictment may be the catalyst they need to finally bring her down. The Henyard administration has already been the target of numerous government subpoenas that demand everything from financial statements to employment records. Since Lacey is currently facing real jail time, insiders are speculating that he may just make a deal with the prosecutors. If that happens, Henyard may find herself at the center of a comprehensive federal investigation.
Wrong is wrong, and there's a time to hold people responsible and accountable for their actions.
Since he's not the only one feeling the heat, who could blame Lacey for wanting to protect himself? Rumor has it that a number of other people in Henyard's closest group are already singing like canaries, exposing secrets left and right in a desperate attempt to escape being indicted themselves. One of these possible turncoats is Keith Freeman, the former top assistant to Henry, who was recently charged with, you got it, bankruptcy fraud. Previously one of Henry's closest friends, Freeman now appears to be cooperating with trustees who are looking into Henry's leadership and spending practices. If he's willing to talk, who knows what kind of dirt he might have on his old boss. But let's circle back to the financial disaster that has become Dolton under Henry's guidance. Remember how we mentioned that the village is in the red? Well, it's not just a small deficit former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot was hired as a special investigator to look into. The accounts found that the village went from a shocking $561 million in April 2022 to a deficit of $365 million by May 2024, folks. After just 2 years, where has all that money gone?
That's one of the reasons I won't know when we go through our board packets. It's like, some of this stuff, it's like you don't know exactly what it's for, and then when you ask a question, there's no answer.
Township residents are footing the bill for her fund, and it doesn't end there. According to Lightfoot's research, village credit cards were used for ostentatious purchases, like as the famed Amazon buying spree and thousands more at Target, Walgreens, and Wayfair. Lightfoot also revealed that over $6 million in checks had been cleared but never sent to vendors, leaving the village's financial obligations and chaos. So not only is the village deeply in debt, but it also has a pile of unpaid bills that it can't afford to cover. Talk about a mess now. If you think Hen's financial mismanagement is shocking, wait until you hear about her reaction to all these allegations. Rather than come clean or try to make things right, Henyard has doubled down, insisting that she's the victim of a smear campaign orchestrated by her political enemies. In fact, she's gone so far as to reappoint her disgraced Deputy Chief Louis Lacey to his position, despite the federal charges against him. That's right, folks, Henyard is standing by her man even as he faces nearly half a century behind bars. But why would she do that? Well, some insiders believe it's all about maintaining control. By keeping Lacey in his post, Henyard might be trying to send a message to others in her administration: stay loyal, and I'll protect you. But if Lacey aids to help with investigators, that loyalty could evaporate faster than Dolton's financial reserves.
What is it?
Well, they knew what they were doing, and they thought they can get away with it.
And speaking of loyalty, or lack thereof, many in Dolton are feeling hurt by what Henry has done. Betrayed at a recent board meeting, things got so heated that the 4 trustees walked out in protest after Henyard shot down their resolution to open an investigation into her alleged misuse of taxpayer money. And it's not just the trustees who are fed up. Local residents are also making their voices heard, demanding accountability and calling for Henyard's resignation. This is a disgrace, one resident shouted during the meeting. They say that you are the worst mayor in America. I agree. And let's not gloss over the personal scandals that have added even more fuel to the fire. Henyard is currently battling multiple allegations, including a harassment and retaliation complaint by a former employee who accused the mayor of firing her after she reported being assaulted during a work trip. Henyard has denied all wrongdoing, but the mere presence of such allegations is enough to raise serious concerns about her leadership. Station judgment now. With all of this swirling around her, you think Henyard might want to lay low for a while, right? Well, think again. Instead, she's been playing a cat and mouse game with the press, avoiding questions and dodging interviews. In fact, after Lightfoot's damning report was released, Henyard was nowhere to be found. She didn't show up at the village hall, and her office refused to comment. It's almost like she's trying to make herself disappear, but with the FBI breathing down her neck, disappearing might not be an option for much longer.
Hey guys, this is Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard, the People's Mayor and People's Supervisor.
The million-dollar question is where all of this leaves us, because Dolton's future and that of its troubled mayor are now in danger. Will Lacey turn around and share Henry's secrets? It's clear that Dolton is in for a wild ride, and who knows, by the time it's all said and done, the super mayor might just find herself facing a very different title inmate. What do you think? Is this the end of the road for Tiffany Henyard? Or does she have a few more tricks up her sleeve to escape justice once again? If Lou Lacey decides to work with investigators, could this be the beginning of a massive political takedown in Dolton? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, continue to pay attention and to be interested.